TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Were you signed first, or did they approach you with the Mortis gimmick about this?
I was doing the Men at Work thing. They were talking about the Mortis gimmick.
Did you like the gimmick? The Mortis gimmick?
When it was first pitched to me, it was going to be huge, man. Bischoff met with Andre Freitas, who owns AFX Studios, who created every character, all 4 characters. It was his concept. But the original concept was Bischoff's, and the way Bischoff, because we had a meeting with Bischoff, Andre, DDP, Disco, and every guy, me, Ray Lloyd, who played Glacier, Ernest Cat Miller, and Brian Clark, Rath. We all sat down with Bischoff. And he said, I looked around, and I looked at marketing and everything. He said, the things that are over, the Power Rangers, Mortal Kombat, before that, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He said, I noticed a trend of martial arts being popular and characters, over-the-top characters. So I want to do that in wrestling. But I want it to look different, be different. He's like, it's going to be this whole huge thing. And I'm not told this, he goes, this is going to be the biggest thing in wrestling. He goes, that's my vision for this. Marketing. He goes, I see commercials, I see cartoons, I see action figures, you name it, we're going to do it. So he was against me being in it from the get-go.
Right.
Paige got me in there. Bischoff said, nah, I'm not Kanyon. And then Paige talked him into it. And then we'd meet, and then after meeting with me, he'd go back to Paige and say, I don't think Kanyon's right for this. Paige would have to come to me and say, he thinks he doesn't want you in it now. So I'm on this yo-yo, and then I'm out of it. And the whole time I'm taking karate lessons with all of us. Raph was there, Ernest wasn't, obviously, but me, Glacier, and Raph were taking karate lessons. We're down to school every day trying to come up with a unique looking style. We wanted moves and a style that was very different.
Right.
I think we hired the wrong karate instructor. He didn't get it. He made us learn how to count 1 to 10 in fucking Japanese or whatever. And I'm like, dude, that ain't what this is.
Right.
Yeah, I respect what you do. I respect the martial arts. But dude, we got to focus on what we're going to do on TV, not counting 1 to 10, motherfucker.
Right.
But we should have ditched them and got someone that knew.
Is it true that I guess they wanted your character to be more like a skeleton?
They wanted me to be a snake.
Right.
They wanted me to be a snake at first, and Jake the Snake had been in WCW not much before that. And I was a huge Ghost Rider mark growing up. I loved the Ghost Rider comic book. And so it was my idea. I was like, you know what? Snake's been done. People love skeletons. This is before, this is before Stone Cold did the whole skeleton gimmick, on his T-shirts and everything. I don't know if anybody had really done. And Parker wasn't in yet.
Right.
So I was like, I'm telling you, man, if we do skeletons, merchandise-wise, it will sell, man. Let's do this. So they were with it. I literally wanted to walk out with my head on fire. A skeleton mask.
Cool.
And the mask I asked Andre to design was, I wanted it to look like the skull was coming through my skin. So where the skeleton part would end, my skin would start. So it would really just look like the skin was torn from my face.
Right.
Probably would have cost more than the $30,000 he charged per character, though. So immediately we would, I was going to be a skeleton, and then we came up with the name Mortis, based on it. And he had a list of 12 names for each one of us, and we each kind of.
That's what Glacier was telling us.
Yeah. So we each kind of picked out our own fucking names. Wrath had a cool name. I like Wraths. That was pretty much right off the bat. Mortis, I kind of like, but there was nothing better, I didn't think, as far as what he came up with. But then, unfortunately, while we were doing all of this, and one of the frustrating parts for me was when I first signed with Bischoff, it was literally I got there in May. That October, he signed me to a contract. But my first contract was for $450 a week, $22,500 a year. That was my first contract with Bischoff in October. But he told me, when the new year, he goes, we're at the end of a budget. And I met up, up in fucking CNN Tower with him. I mean, it was fucking impressive, scary. And literally, I thought it would be a meeting and stuff. He didn't even know I was going to be there. He goes, oh, yeah, sit down. He's like, he just looked up at the calendar. He goes, we're at the end of the calendar year. He's like, what are you making now? I forget. I think we were getting $200 a match, $150 a match maybe.
Right.
Yeah, because I was just getting paid per match. I think it was $150 a match. He's like, what? He goes, all I can do for you now is $450 a week. He goes, but at least it's guaranteed whether you wrestle or not. So I was cool with that, And he said, and then as soon as the new year comes around, just remind me or tell Paige to remind me, and we'll bump you up a little bit. So, really, dude, again, remember, I had made $70,000 a year already.
Right.
3 years or 2 years, whatever I did the therapy. I get in the elevator, leaving the meeting, and that's how long the meeting was, literally, less than fucking 5 minutes. I know I just signed my friend, it's another step, it's like I signed a deal to be a wrestler. Now I really feel like a pro wrestler. Up to that point, you just feel like a job guy. You feel like an independent wrestler. You sign a contract with one of the two companies. It's like, I start balling again, man. Right? Fucking people are into the elevator, and I'm fucking balling. And it's only for $22,500. It wasn't about the money.
Right.
I already made $70,000 a year. $22,500, dude, it was just, no matter what, I'm getting a $450 paycheck. And then, sure enough, January 1st came, and he bumped me up to $6,000. But that's all I was making when we started doing the Mortis thing. And then I find out what Raph was making. Find out what Ray's making. Find out what Ernest is making. And I'm still only making $30,000 a year. The whole time we're training. But I know why, because fucking Eric keeps flip-flopping on whether I'm going to do it or not. And finally, fucking, I had enough. I told Paige, I can't keep doing this. Number one, I can't keep doing this for fucking $30,000 a year.
Right.
When I know what these other motherfuckers are making. And I know I'm better than fucking,
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. I'm not going to fucking say who's better than who, but
Right.
I felt like I was working just as hard as them, and I was pretty good compared to some of them. So, especially Ernest. I mean, Ernest was green. Him I will talk about. Ernest, this was his first gig, man. I had to basically, me, Raph, and Ray had to train him from scratch. And he was horrible at first. And he was fucking beating the fuck out of us with his kicks and shit, So, for him to make what he was making, and I won't say that, but he was making a good bit more than I was. I thought it was unfair, number one. And for Eric to flip-flop the way he was on me, bringing my hopes up. Literally, and remember, at this point, we think it's going to be the biggest gimmick in wrestling, because that's what he told us it was going to be. To think I'm in it and they're not in it, and Eric keeps, I was like, he needs to make a decision one way or the other on me. And if I'm in, he needs to pay me. I was like, I just think it's fair.
Right.
That's the right thing. He's like, you're right. He said, he wants to see you in the ring. So Eric came down to the power plant and watched me work with Ray and with Ernest back to back. And he literally walked over to Paige and goes, you're absolutely right the whole time. I was wrong. Kane's the only guy for this gimmick. And immediately called me in. And I had this whole fucking spiel, just like a lot of what I just told you, how I was a physical therapist. I was making $70,000 a night, $70,000 a year, and I had notes. I'm sitting there. So when he called me in for the meeting after he watched me, I'm sitting there, and when I kept going to Paige and saying, Paige, you got to talk to Bischoff for me. And at one point, Bischoff, and Paige told me this, Bischoff said, well, what am I paying him right now anyway? Because he had no idea. So Paige told me, paying him $30,000 a year, paying him $600 a week. He goes, well, you know what you should do? Go back to Kanyon, tell him that $30,000 a year for doing nothing isn't fucking bad. So Paige comes back and tells me that. So now that's on my mind. This motherfucker thinks I'm doing fucking nothing. I'm getting up every day, going to the power plant, usually around 8, training, then going to karate school, then coming back to the power plant, pretty much 9 to 5. And this is for months and months, dude. And learning karate and the whole 9 yards. And training Ernest from scratch, who's making a shitload more than me. Raph, who's making a shitload more than me. Ray, who fucking never did it, hasn't worked for WCW before, making a shitload more than me. So I'm like, this is just wrong. So finally, he watches me, says, yeah, I'm good for the part. Brings me in, I have my notes. So I'm telling him, yeah, and I went from making $70,000 a year to making, $40 a night. I'll tell you what, Eric, I was happier than I ever was in my life. Because I love this, and I just kept putting over how much I love it. I would do anything for the business. I'd do anything for him because he's giving me my spot. Do anything for Paige because he helped me out. And finally, he goes, you know what, Chris? He goes, put the notes down. I'm like, oh, fuck, what now?
Huh.
So he goes, put them on the ground. So I put them on the ground. He goes, stop reading from the notes. Tell me what you really feel.
Right.
And, dude, I had that moment. I'm thinking, all right, what's on your mind? And I keep going back to the $30,000 thing. I'm like, Eric, Paige told me what you said. He told me that you said that $30,000 a year for doing nothing isn't fucking bad. And I should shut the fuck up and just do what I'm supposed to do. I was like, Eric, if you think I'm doing nothing, and I didn't curse the whole time, which is rare for me. I was like, when I gave my spiel, I was real professional. I was dressed, I wasn't in a suit, but I was dressed all right. And finally I said, Eric, if you think I've been doing nothing for the last few months, you're fucking crazy. I've been working my ass off training your boy Ernest, who's fucking beating the fuck out of us with his kicks. I'm like, I'm working fucking 8, 10, 12 hours a day with this shit. Between working out and training at the power plant and doing karate. I'm like, man, for you to think I'm doing nothing, that's a fucking slap in my face. I couldn't believe I was saying this to Eric, man. I was definitely, I'm not intimidated by too many people in the business. Flair a little bit when I met him. Hulk, of course. Vince is probably the most intimidating motherfucker on the planet. And Eric to some extent. But, he gave me that opportunity to tell him what I really felt. And I felt I owed it to me and to him to, get that off my chest. And he goes, well, he goes back up. He goes, Paige has a way to dramatize things. He said, I didn't really say it that way. And he said, I didn't really mean you were doing nothing. He said, but when I got to WCW, I was pretty much collecting cans to pay fucking food bills for my family. He said, I was in rough shape when I got here. He said, so to me, 30 grand ain't bad to be doing what you love. Because that's kind of what I meant. I didn't really mean you were doing nothing. He goes from this spiel of him fucking collecting cans to pay for his fucking kids' food, literally, to going, so what were you thinking? How much should I pay you? And I'm thinking, oh, fuck. He just told me fucking he had to collect cans. He said 30 grand isn't, I'm not getting paid to do nothing, but 30 grand is not bad to do what you love. Now he throws this at me, and I'm thinking, I went in there thinking I was going to ask for 60 grand, 100, 150 over a 3-year period. And, I was like, oh, fuck, I can't ask for 60 grand now. And I can't ask for fucking 3 years from now 150 when he's telling me 30 grand to do what you love is fucking all right and collect the cans. So I'm thinking, oh, fuck, I got to give him a number. I'm like, fuck it. Well, 60s, it's like, just, right now, what are you making? I'm literally in my mind trying to figure out math quick. And he's waiting. And it's this fucking long, comfortable silence. I'm thinking, all right now I'm making 30. Fuck, don't ask for 3 different years. Just ask for 3 years of the same and go low. So I'm like, just how about 3 years of 70? Which is a good bit different than fucking 70, 120, 150.
Right.
Overall, 3 years of 70 would have been, 210. So I would have almost made that my 3rd year. So I'm like, But I was like, you know what? Even that seems a lot, but fucking throw it out there. And now this is literally after about a 20-minute meeting and me laying my guts on the floor for this guy. And I said, just 3 years of 70? And now I'm scared shitless. And he's looking at me and goes, nope. And I went, why? I was really upset. He goes, because I'm thinking 100. And immediately I'm thinking, does he need 100 more per week? And I'm thinking that's 700. And that's 35. Like, do you mean 100,000 a year? He goes, yep. I'm like, I'll take it.
Nice.
And dude, I got in now I'm making 6 figures doing what I love,
There you go.
And I get in the fucking elevator and again, fucking tears, dude. I mean, fucking second time I cried in that fucking building.
Huh.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and that's one thing about Eric, man. I know he did that with almost everyone. He'd ask you what you want, and then a lot of people he gave more.
Right.
And he was fair about that. And, again, I think that was still less than maybe all 3 of the other guys. I'm not positive, but I think it was at the time.
You also got to work with Vandenberg again. What was that like?
Yeah, that was a Disco Inferno idea.
Right.
He was a big fan of Great Muda, and was a big fan of Gary Hart, great Gary Hart. And I was too. And I always liked Gary Hart, but when I watched the WWE, Vince did put out a good video, man, a world-class video. And Gary Hart's all over that. He does a lot of commentary in that video. And the rise and fall, I think, of WCCW, World-Class Championship Wrestling. And I just got to love Gary during that video. And then he died right after I watched that. And, Disco was a huge fan of Muda and Gary Hart and thought that the Mortis character should kind of be based somewhat on the Muda character.
Right.
And he figured, that Vandenberg would be a good fit to kind of do what Gary Hart did with Muda. So that's how that came about. And to give that call to Jim and tell him, hey, there's a good chance we can bring you in. It's like we need a tape and stuff, but I think we're going to get you in here.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.